I'm Paul-E-Tics. Welcome back to another informative edition of Getting Candid with the candidates over coffee. Today I've been invited into the home of fellow mayoral candidate YJ Draiman, a neighborhood council member here in Northridge who has some fascinating ideas about how renewable energies can benefit the City of Angels. Let's go hear what he has to say.
Hello.
Jay, hello.
How are
Paul-E-Tics, pleasure.
My story goes back to the previous election.
In 2013.
Right. I'm an elected official in neighborhood council already for 4 terms. And at that time, they wanted somebody from the neighborhood to run. I said, I don't have a chance in hell. I said, well, we still need somebody to go up there. I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. It was an experience.
So in your time with the neighborhood council, you've been doing a lot of work.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of work. And anytime any representative from the city or state or wants to come in and promote increasing taxes, I'm the first one that says, no, you got to decrease taxes, decrease bureaucracy, invite businesses in here, whatever it takes, and that will help financially for the city, for the people, and everybody involved.
You also are the main interface between the neighborhood council and the LADWP, right?
Right. Really, they like to run their own show. Mm-hmm. We have really no real effect. Let's be realistic.
The LADWP seems to be one of the strongest and least regulated organizations in the city.
If you look at our electrical rates, take your total kilowatt hours divided by the total dollars, and you get an average price of somewhere between 18 to 19 cents per kilowatt hour. Mm. You go to any of the other electric companies, the cost is 24 to 25 cents per kilowatt. And people ask me why. I said, you remember the deregulation back in 1999, 2000? Gas prices went to the ceiling, remember? Mm-hmm. The federal government mandated, they deregulated the gas industry, and it regulated that all utility companies must divest themselves of the generating capacity. And what happened is utility companies had to increase their prices to compensate for it. LADWP is a city organization, so it's not regulated by the Utility Commission. Right. Therefore, they did not divest themselves of the generating capacity. That's why they were able to hold the prices down.
This is very important to you. It's very important to us too. I believe strongly that although, of course, red is the color of love, green is also the color of love in many ways.
I'm a firm believer of it's cheaper to save energy than make energy. Mm. You can probably cut down consumption by at least 30% just by being more cautious in how they manage things. Mm. You go out of the room, you turn off the lights. When you use the water, you only open it when you need it. Right. And you don't need to open it full force either. You use your head a little bit.
People brush their teeth, the water's
exactly.
running.
I also recommended to Garcetti, last election, I said to him, we have a water problem here in LA, which is chronic throughout its history. Why are we letting billions of gallons of water flow down the LA River into the sea? Why aren't we building ponds along the LA River, retaining that water, put some ponds with liners so we can use the water, some ponds without liners so we let the water seep through and refill the aquifers.
Well, and I understand that the city plan has been the same city plan since 1990s.
We don't have a desalinization plant.
That's something I discussed with Franz Pierre, one of the other candidates.
And as far as renewable energy, why don't we have a mandatory rainwater harvesting? If you go on the side of my house, I have 5 tubs of 200 gallons to collect rainwater, which I use.
I agree, we need that. I mean, in this moment in time with this drought, even though it might be receding for the moment, I don't think it's going
No, it's not going to. Right now, we're getting a reprieve, and we're thankful for it. But nobody's addressed the issue to put in a porous asphalt or porous concrete. The advantage to porous asphalt and porous concrete is when it rains, some of the water will seep through it and replenish our aquifers. Yes. Okay? There's so many ways for us to address the real needs of this city.
Okay, let's talk about solar, because I read a quote from you in which you said that we have the most solar in...
If you do the analysis in the city of Los Angeles, out of 365 days a year, we have better than 300 days a year of sun. There's not too many cities that can claim that. Why don't we capitalize on it? All you have to do is promote or pass a housing ordinance that requires every house that's being built automatically to put in a retaining tank for rainwater. I recommend a combination solar and wind. They've got those little small vertical turbines. You put a couple of those plus the solar, and now you're producing about 80 to 90% of your electricity.
Why aren't we taking those steps now? And what does it take for the city to revise that entire infrastructure to make these things happen?
First thing, you need people in this city who care about the people, who care about the city. The minute you're going to put people in there who care about the people, who care about the city, you're going to see a change in attitude. That's what we need. You're not going to get a change in attitude, nothing's going to change. And we're just going downhill worse and worse as the years go by. Our deficit is increasing. Our pensions is eating us up alive.
This is your second run at mayor. You also ran for city council, right?
Right. I love the city. I think the city has a lot to offer, and I want what's best for it. I have certain knowledge and experience which I'd like to input. There's no reason why this city shouldn't be the leading city, not only in the nations, but in the world. If people care, you're going to see a change in attitude, which is...
I mean, this is what I'm trying to do, bringing love into it.
You want love with compassion.
Yeah.
If you got the two together, then you have a chance of improving society. Because talk is cheap. I want to see real change on the ground, and I want to see this country take back its leadership in the world.
Certainly what spurred me into action was seeing the anger out there.
Right, there's a lot of anger and a lot of divisiveness. We need somebody to go out there and tell them, I don't care if you are liberal, ultra-liberal, conservative, ultra-conservative, we are all one people, one nation. We got to learn to respect each other and come to some kind of an understanding.
Where do you see the place where people need to come together in a loving way?
If people see that a person means what he says and he goes on that particular approach, people will join him. Because a lot of people are fed up with what's happening. Yeah. And people say, you know, LA was a total different city 20 years ago. It has changed drastically. We need to bring back camaraderie, compassion, friendliness.
It feels like everyone's just doing their own thing on their own.
You also have the problem of the modern technology. It has its pluses, has its minuses. If you take modern technology and you use it for good, it's terrific.
What does the term made in America mean to you?
We, as Americans, with our technology and know-how, produce better goods than any other country in the world. And there's no reason why we should produce 90% of our goods and services outside this country.
How is that affecting Los Angeles?
All the industry is gone. The aeronautic industry, space and aeronautic industry that used to be here 20 years ago is all gone. The movie industry, half of it is gone.
Let's talk about the movie industry. That's a part of our platform.
We need an agenda to promote this city as a business city. 10 other states or 10 other cities that are offering all kinds of benefits and much more friendly, business friendly than LA.
We have no love for the film industry, right? Why aren't we taking care of the industry that made this city?
I think our bureaucracy and the permit costs and the taxation have basically turned off the movie industry because they went to other places where they have more cooperation. Now, the key to running a good business, whether it's a city or a regular business, is if you've chosen a path and the path you find out that you made a mistake, hey, admit the mistake, change direction. People are afraid to say, oh, I made a mistake. You're only human.
I agree.
As long as your intent is pure, that your intent is really to make life for the people of Los Angeles better, I respect you.
If you look at any entrepreneur in history, most of them will admit that having incredible failures that then help to make their success.
If you have no failure, you don't learn.
Let's get a little bit into infrastructure. Los Angeles is always expanding. We don't necessarily have our infrastructure up to snuff to do that.
It's only up to snuff. They've never kept it up to snuff. They never maintained it properly. Oh, we got to increase rates, we got to increase fees in order to get the money so we can restructure, we rebuild our infrastructure. No, it should have been done all along.
So where's the balance between fixing the existing infrastructure? Do you believe that we can do both at the same time?
Yes, there's no question about it. But it should have been done all along. I wouldn't authorize any expansion unless I've fixed the infrastructure to begin with.
Fix the infrastructure first.
No question about it. Now, you can't stop existing growth. There's a certain amount of growth that goes on in a city, no matter what.
Where do you stand on Measure S?
I'm reluctant to high rises in Los Angeles, especially in view of all the earthquakes that we have here.
So your concern is earthquake safety?
Earthquake safety,
Which is part of infrastructure in a way.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Even though some of the technology today has addressed it, I know they've built some skyscrapers with some special springs underneath the buildings and so on and so forth. But again, that can only handle so far. If we get a major earthquake, we would be in trouble.
What are your ideas for reducing traffic? Do you think that's an important...
One of the things I recommended, LA River is owned by the city. You can build an overhead
Like the monorail type?
Right.
Yeah.
Over the LA River, which will start all the way from here and it'll go all the way to Orange County. Here's one quick transportation solution for you. The other part is a little more complex. We need to build second tier on the 405 or the 101 and build a train right alongside it, above it.
Using existing infrastructure.
Using existing infrastructure, exactly. Now people say, well, we got earthquake problems. I said, all the highways got earthquake problems.
Right.
We've learned how to address it over the years.
Garcetti is really pushing hard to bring the Olympics to Los Angeles.
Well, they claim it's going to bring $10 to $11 billion worth of revenues to the city. It doesn't mean the city itself. Yeah. It means to businesses and so on and so forth.
But is this the most important thing we should be thinking about for LA right now? Meanwhile, we have the worst homeless epidemic in the country, and
the homeless issue is a very complex issue.
Of course.
There's some that are looking to get out of it. There's some that are very comfortable with it. They feel for them it's a way of life.
I feel like that's because they get established in communities. If you can say, we're going to get all of you together off of the street into a spot so that you're not breaking up the communities, I think that could have an effect.
My argument is it's not a one-way street. Okay, so I'm going to help you, but I got to see a move by you.
You got to help yourself.
Exactly. If you don't want to help yourself, whatever I'm going to do is going to be wasted. And I'd rather take my resources and put it into a person that's willing to advance themselves.
But how does that apply to the chronically homeless, people who are dealing with mental illness, people who are fleeing domestic violence? As you know, the women most of the women on the street are there because they're fleeing domestic violence.
We can set up certain facilities that it's rehabbing them and help them put back on their feet and become a constructive citizen of the city. The cost of living in this city is high. We've lost 20,000 businesses in the past 9 years, and we've probably lost 250,000 to 300,000 people who've moved out. Now that's a loss of revenues to the city. How does the city compensate for it? By adding more taxation, more fees to the existing people, so it chokes them.
So few people even know that there is a mayoral election happening in this city. We have less than 20% expected voter turnout. Why is there so much apathy? When you're in New York or Chicago, everyone knows who the mayor of New York and Chicago is.
But I think it's because they don't feel that the city cares for them. That's what it is.
How do we make people care again?
Until you put some leaders who care up there, nothing is going to change.
Ideas should come from wherever we can get ideas. We should be happy to accept good ideas.
We should take all the candidates that are sitting together and extract the positive ideas of each one of them, put it together in a box and utilize it. You may not be able to utilize all of it, but you can use parts of it and start going in the right direction. When people will see that you are honest and that you say what you mean and you mean what you say, all of a sudden you'll build a constituency that has faith in you. The minute they have faith in you, you can do whatever you want to do, and the city will move forward.
What if you were to create a bureau, for instance, where if you have ideas, you come and you can pitch your ideas to the city?
It's funny you should say that. Last election when I ran, one of my ideas was an open house in the mayor's office for every person in the city of Los Angeles can come in and voice what concerns him. Whether I'll be able to help him or not, at least I'm going to be able to hear.
Yeah. What about, I know you have some ideas about how we can incentivize our city employees to be the best employees.
Well, I recommended we pay a base salary with incentive pay for performance.
And this is going to all across the board?
All across the board.
Starting with the mayor down?
Starting with the mayor down.
Wow.
I said if we implemented it in the federal government, we wouldn't be in deficit today.
I love it. I had the idea of doing some sort of like a Yelp service about politicians, right? Where you could actually leave reviews about politicians. This politician is, and maybe you have a meter, with a heart level.
First thing, I don't think a politician should be in office for more than 8 years, period. City, state, federal, county, I don't care, whatever it is. To me, it's unacceptable. He's already served his term. Why should I let him come back again?
Because that moves them away from being of service to being of service to themselves, right? The longer they're in office, it's a job rather than...
We've got to start going in that direction and instill people that there is a change for the better. Yeah. As long as they don't feel there's a change for the better, you're hitting your head against the wall.
Anything else from your key platform ideas that we haven't hit upon?
We have an education system over here that's subpar in this city, and it has been for years. We don't have a system that rewards good teachers. Teaching is an art, okay? It's an art all into itself. Sure. You could be the most knowledgeable person in the world, but you're the worst teacher in the world. And you could be not as knowledgeable, but the best teacher in the world. Schools are made to educate, not to warehouse children. People sometimes ask me, well, they do too much playing around in the class. I said, Yeah, but if you do the play in such a fashion where the play educates the children, you've accomplished what you want to accomplish. Paul, what do you think you can contribute to the city?
What we're talking about is using love as a core value. And that means examining the policies and the ideas with the lens of, is this going to create more well-being for one person, or is this going to create more well-being for many people? I also believe that we have to use that in the way we comport ourselves and when it comes to, for instance, interaction with the other candidates. Here we are having this civil discourse. We should be having this discourse with all of the candidates together, talking about really our ideas about solutions, and not being focused on saying, I don't like the way you dress, I don't like the way that you...
It's not me, it's all of us.
Exactly.
And we're looking what's the best for the city as a whole.
Bingo. That's my idea. That's what I'm trying to bring to the table. I'm trying to inject that into the conversation.
It's a tough hole to climb, because people always have their own personal interests at heart.
Right, of course.
How about the budget?
I think the budget needs to be line-itemed, revised, and I think there's a lot of money being spent in the wrong place. For me, HHH is a perfect example of that. Now, obviously, that's not the city budget, but it's a perfect example of money being misappropriated.
Wasted.
You're going to tell me that it takes $400,000 per housing unit? That's the problem with HHH. We could actually use that money to put every single homeless person in the city of LA into a home, but not at $400,000 per unit.
Did you see the other day somebody emailed me what they call an in-laws home?
Yeah.
15 by 25, prefab, everything. It's like a studio room with a kitchenette and a bathroom. Everything all inclusive. You can put it in your backyard and you have your in-laws in there. I was shocked.
If we embrace those ideas and those solutions, then we can make so much more.
Paul is doing the right idea, I think, hitting on all the candidates and trying to basically hold us as a cohesive force for the betterment of the city.
I'm in. What do you say? How do people get to know more about you and your campaign?
Go to my website, draimanformayor.com. They'll see my articles, they'll see my agenda.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for taking the time. It's been great talking with you. I've learned so much, and it's wonderful to meet you.